Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video here at TrinFx, looking at the week to come up. For you guys that don't know who I am, I'm the Home Fletcher, that's what I'm well known as, and I'm the founder of TrinFx, the YouTube channel here, as well as the Discord and Telegram channels that would be provided in the description below. And what I'm doing right now is getting prepared for this week. Alright, so I like to take you guys every week, either on the Saturday or Sunday, I'll do a video and I'll post it online here. But you guys see what I'm looking at on the charts, right? And recently I've moved to just focusing on one currency. And when I say one currency, I just mean like one currency, major currency, so to speak. Right, so in this case right now, what I'm focusing on and using as a data set sample is AUD. Just looking at AUD pairs mainly. I would trade other pairs if providing that there are possible trading opportunities, but mainly I'm looking at the AUD pairs. So in this example, or well, in this weekly analysis here, what I'll be looking at mainly for my setups going into next week or this week coming up here is the AUD pairs. I will take a look at some of the other major pairs as well. So what I like to do is start with the fundamentals and stuff that we do have coming up and discuss a little bit about last week fundamentals. All right, so coming down to the ending of last week, actually, we had CPI, right? And as you know, CPI comes out, sorry, we have NFP, and as you know, NFP does come out at the beginning of every month, the Friday, right? So we did have NFP being released and we had bad numbers for the US economy. So that really did drive the DXY, which represents the dollar strength, downwards. And we have been seeing more dollar bearishness, all right? And that's pretty good in terms of possible trade setups that we could have, because overall, even though that we do see the dollar going down, we did have this sort of rise at this point. So one thing that I think that we can expect is to see dollar continuations back into this major level here, and then see price either wick above from that level, right? So basically this being held as support, or a break lower. All right, and I think in either position, either case, whatever it may be, it will be good for some dollar longs or sells looking at the major currency pairs. All right, so something I like to take a look at up and coming, for me, I'm focusing more on the AUD. So these things are some important things that I need to pay attention to: the NAB business confidence numbers, as well as we have the Westpac Consumer Confidence Index. All right, so this is the starting of the week here on Monday, and we also have CHF unemployment, right? So the unemployment rate looking to remain the same. All right, I think this would be very beneficial for the Swiss economy, and I do think that we could possibly see some Swiss buying, especially in the downward trend that we are in for the pair that I am looking at. Some of the things that we have coming up, so you can see that we do have balance of trade on the Tuesday for the US economy, but I don't think this number will really have a high impact on any dollar movement. All right, Wednesday we have some other news here: crude oil stock exchange. We also have on the Thursday, all right, where we get the meat of the US news, we have initial jobless claims. So it's something that we need to pay attention to. Coming out here at, we have it coming out here at a little bit more than in the previous, all right? So compared to the previous number, the consensus is at 230K compared to 227K, all right, 227K. So this year, this would be bad actually if we had numbers coming out higher, right? We have inflationary numbers. So this is something that I need to actually put on the list as well. Have core inflation, year over rate inflation. So it looks like inflation is on the rise a little bit for the year-to-year comparison. All right, core inflation rate looks like it's coming down compared to consensus, and this is a skeptical thing for me, right? So I would wait to see what numbers we do have released rather than trying to get in onto it early, because we see that here we have core inflation rate looking to come down, while inflation rate is looking to come upwards, all right, compared to the previous. Now, all of this, all you need to know is basically like a sum of, right? It's like, you know how you have the mean, medium, and the mode when you're doing basic maths. It's basically like that, but I'll just give you guys a quick look at what it is, right? So they have a brief summary as to what it is. The consumer prices for a basket of items, excluding volatile food and fuel costs, are tracked by the core inflation rate in the United States. All right, a higher than expected figure should be seen as positive for the US dollar, while a lower than expected figure should be seen as negative. All right, and this is the usual in terms for inflation, because if you have high inflation, that means coming up to when we have interest rates or any policy change provided from the US economy, it usually means that interest rates will increase, or we could see rates increasing, continue to do so, or we could see that the Fed, right, which is the representative for the US economy, for the dollar, we could see them take a more of a bullish stance onto what they're going to do in order to curb inflation and bring it back down into the control level. However, this 3% area is really a nice spot that you want to be at. So the fact that inflation is coming down quite nicely is good for the economy. But I would say that it's really like a tightrope act. All right, there's a sweet spot, which is that 2 to 3% area. All right, and it also leads to, if inflation is coming down too fast, that can lead the economy to sort of a recession. All right, so they need to keep the economy going while still bringing things into more of a sustainable level, which is that area where you want to be at, that sweet spot. So I'll wait and see. Personally, for me, I wouldn't want to get involved in any USD trades or anything like that beforehand. I would like to wait and see what the numbers are like and how the dollar does react before looking to enter anything new in terms of that. We also have CPI again. So, we have CPI coming up too. So this is also an important piece of news that needs to be paid attention to. And on Friday, we do have GDP growth for the GBP. And, well, we had two sets of GDP, right? So we had GDP growth for the year-over-year second quarter. So this is something that you need to pay attention to. Had a month-over-month value. And we're going to see a positive increase. Overall, the numbers do look positive or unchanged. So that would be good for the pound. I mean, actually take a look at something like pound USD. All right. So that's it for the fundamentals in terms of what we have coming up. And now let's take a look here. Now, I already told you guys what I'm expecting for the DXY. Either price, initially, I'm expecting price to come down, retest this level, and see whether it's able to hold that level, right? And reject to continue moving further up, or if we're just going to reject, push past this level and continue further downward. All right, so that's one thing I'll pay attention to for that. Something else we do have, like I said, I'm focusing more on the AUD for myself, right? So in that case, for me, I'll be paying attention to stuff like AUD CAD, AUD USD. Now, these would be the two main trades that I'm looking at. And also here, I would like to pay attention to AUD CHF. All right. So for me, these are the three main ones that I'm looking at. AUD CHF, starting off with this first, I just think we could see a downward continuation. As you can see, this is a very strong downward market. All right, and you can see the most recent low, the lowest of the lows is this area right here, right? So for me, I do think we could see a continuation of that, provided that we do have a weaker AUD currently right now, and we have the CHF data coming out firstly. So I do think we could see a continuation, especially with the current movements that we do have. One thing I'd like to note, or at least see, right, to basically reaffirm those movements to the downside. If you want to be more conservative, you can't wait for price to come into this area and then take a trade, continue with that downward movement. Now for me, I am currently, right now what I'm doing is anytime I make 5% for the week, I'm finished. All right, 5% by 4 is a total of 20% for 1 month, right? Average that every month for consistently for a year. That's over 240%. All right, which is great for any trader to be making something like that consistently. All right, obviously we have wins and losses, but it's controlled wins and controlled losses that you do want. In that case, I do think that it's good to focus on whether it's one pair in specific, you swing trade it, or you just look at one specific currency and the cross currencies with that, right? So in this case, AUD CHF, AUD CAD, AUD NZD, and so forth, right? And this is what I'm doing right now to really get a picture of what it is, how profitable this can be for me, especially moving long term. If I do have, stuff coming up where I'll be busy and can't really be looking at the charts continuously at all these other cross pairs. That being said, yeah, this is solid trade for me right here. I think we could get a continuation moving down as price pulls into this area. I would think that we could get a break and a continuation down. So for me, sells right here on 80 CHF. 80 CAD. I'm sorry guys, it's really hot. It's really hot what's right now. 80 CAD. Now again, we do have our analysis for the DXY and what to expect firstly. So I don't want to get too involved in something like 80 CAD right at the jump. Excuse. Overall, strong downtrend movement from the 80. So all in all, I do think we could see a continuation to the downside, but I'll be very careful as to where I do enter and this possible trade setup. Right now, the DXY, when we have the strength of weakness, that you usually see a correspondence with the CAD displaying that same sort of strength of weakness, right? So I don't want to be too hasty on entering something like this when we have some clear differentiating fundamentals as well as waiting for new developments on the dollar itself. So I would say I'll wait on this. If we could continue pushing downwards, this would be one target area where I'll look to get in short. And if we could push past all of this noise here, then that just makes it a more likelihood to see price continue moving downwards. All right, 80 USD, same thing, movement downwards right now where price is at. I do think we could see a pull higher up before those continuations moving down, right? So this may be an area to possibly see price return first. And again, that's based off of USD weakness, right? So you can see price pull up into this area first and then shoot downwards again, because this will be an area where we see sellers being in for the long run of the continuation of this trend. As you can see, really clear downward movements, right? So this is a clear, very strong downtrend. All right, so this will be sort of what I'll be waiting for to possibly see before entering any sell setups. Other stuff, I know a lot of people like GJ. So for JPY, I do think overall we could get a continuation to the downside. Again, this is playing off of US dollar weakness, which usually ends up strengthening something such as the yen, right? Investors do flee to more safe haven, more controlled currency assets such as the Japanese yen, Swiss franc. These economies usually have a stable rate at where they keep their interest rate at. But for the current times, recently we had some talks about the Japanese bank raising their rates a little bit temporarily, right? So it's really anybody's game right now. But overall, with the current price action, I do think that we could see a continuation to the downside, especially given the strength of this sort of market environment that we do have, right? So I do think we could get a pullback, maybe lower right into these areas here, and then possibly we might see an even lower pullback before we see some continuations. Obviously, we do have some news events to maintain and pay attention to, such as the GDP numbers for the pound itself, and looking further into some of the USD stuff on the Thursday. All right, which would affect price action on all these currencies. So for GJ, I am more so on the sell bias side to see price continue moving downwards. That is really my take in favor of the yen right now. So this is sort of my yen bias movements that I'm expecting. All right, and gold, everybody loves gold. So gold has been falling, right? This fall here for gold was when we had that slight US dollar bullishness. I believe this was for 80p. Let me just take a look at last week. All right, so last week would have been here to here. Right, so we had some numbers for the US, right, which came out a little bit more positive than expected. I'm just looking for it. All right, so we had unemployment rate being a little bit better. This was before that, right? So I'm seeing right, yeah. So we had the jobless claims here. This came out a little bit more positive, which is lesser than the expected amount. We also had the non-farm productivity, right, came out better. We also had some other small stuff that came out a little better. I'm not seeing it here right now. But yeah, we did have some news for the dollar that came out a lot better, and that's why we saw this sort of movement here on gold actually pushing downwards like this, right? Then we started kind of consolidate right here, and as you can see, price pushed up from here, right? So we had that break of this consolidation right now. So it's a matter of where we could see price continuing. Now on the daily, pretty choppy, hourly. I would say not really much, right? Again, and excuse me guys, again, if prices continue moving downwards, then we'll follow the actual current price action along with this trend that we're seeing being displayed here on the 4-hourly and the 1-hourly, and price will continue breaking lower, right? Now for me, if I'm to enter short on gold, I like to follow along with the price action full sealer, right? So if price manages to pull below this area, below all this consolidation that it had previously, and break this rejection that it had here, at that point, yes, I would be more so on the leaning to the sell side, as that will display US dollar strength, right? Or a lack of buyers within the gold market at that current point of time, right? And again, this is something I really do think we need to pay attention to, is the DXY strength, as that will determine as to whether we see price continue moving bullish on this, or we have that bearish pull and continuation, right? Either case, I'll be paying more attention to the price action if I were you, in order to enter and make that trade in bias. All right, guys. So that's it right now. Obviously, I would go through more pairs if I were looking at them, but I'm really trying to stick to this as it is right now, and really get this other sample setups to see, okay, is this something that's sustainable for me moving in future, especially for those in the VIP group. I know you guys love making the profits and whatnot. So this is just me making it as best as possible for you guys to help you guys as well. All right, so that is currently it that I'm looking at. As you know, my target is that 5% for the week, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you guys so much for joining in on this weekly analysis video, and going through the charts with me. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to do so, and I do hope I was able to provide some knowledge or some insights on the charts. If this video helped you in any way, please leave a comment, leave a like. Let me know what you are looking at specifically, and if you're in the Discord group, we could go over it, share some ideas, bounce some ideas off each other. I believe that nobody understands the market 100%, right? Nobody is like a trading guru or god or whatever the case is. These terms that a lot of people like to use, especially seasoned traders, right? We're all still learning. We all still have something to learn from each other, or value the insight that somebody else can give us, rather than thinking our own perspective, right? I do think it's important to note how other people do or see things sometimes, as that may help you in understanding, or deeper understand what it is that you're currently doing. All right, whether you've been here for years, you now started, it really doesn't matter. Intermediate, beginner, advanced, it doesn't matter at all. Markets are always ever changing. Economic situations drive market movements. So I do think that we can learn from each other, especially if you're somebody that doesn't focus on fundamentals and just price action. Some things might be inexplicable for you. All right, so it's always good to listen to other opinions, given that well, in this case. All right, so thank you so much. I do hope everybody have a great weekend, and I hope to see you guys this week coming up, trading and making those profits. All right, so peace. Love you guys.